This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back in action. It's been a little while. Glad to be here, though. You know what I mean? I got my brother Tony Crow in the building. We got Trey from the Barbershop Sports Talk in the building. And soon to be on the Gotham Grit right here on NBK. Look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. But Tony, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling? The Knicks get the win tonight over the Sacremento Kings. It wasn't as easy as, well, you know, I don't know. I was a little nervous for a little while, but in the end, the Knicks stepped up their game and flexed their muscle a little bit and took control of it, you know. But your thoughts?
Yeah, man. They're helter skelter. You know what I mean? Like you said, they get you nervous. You think it's gonna be one of them faltered games where they give it up, but they you know, in the end, the defense came through, stepped up, and guys made shots. You know what I mean? Mikal had a nice bounce back game. There was some stretches between his scoring, but you know what I mean? Like a lot of it came early in the first, and then, you know, sometime in the second half, he turned it on again.
Yeah. You know, and you know, for all, the Knicks scored 103 points against a team that doesn't really play defense. It's still a lot of things here that we got to figure out. You know, I'm just happy we're off the schneid, though. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's our third win in a row. You know, after going through one of the roughest stretches that we've had in years. So I'm just happy we're off the schneid. You know, we got that monkey off our back, and we're starting to win basketball games again. They're not perfect, but we're winning again. You know what I mean? That's what's important to me. Trey, your thoughts on the game tonight?
Yeah, I thought they were a little helter-skelter, you know, to kind of come out in that first half. And DeMar DeRozan, as he usually does, always seems to have these games against us. I don't know what it is. But they pulled together in the fourth quarter, man. They only gave up 15 points to the Kings in that fourth quarter to really pull away from them. The issue for me is still the perimeter defense, the perimeter 3-point defense for me. And I know Westbrook took some shots, but yeah, that's a guy you could leave open. You know, Westbrook's not a 3-point shooter, never really has been, but just in general, you know, getting back to their guys, you know, on the 3-point line, to me is still somewhat of an issue. But, you know, all in all, man, it was a good win. You know, great way to kind of start this week out, head toward the trade deadline. And I guess we'll talk about that shortly. But it was a good win. It was a good win against a team you had to beat.
Against a team that busted your hind parts a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, facts.
Right? You had to get it. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't do that at home. You know what I mean? You couldn't do that at home. And already in the chat, you know, Mr. Richardson is in the chat, you know, to try and let me have it, right? You know, I told Sim, what did he say? I told Sim the Knicks are fine. He's still promoting the firing of Mike Brown. I've never promoted firing Mike Brown, so you got to cool it with that. Don't cool it with that. You know what I'm saying? But okay, the Knicks are fine because they won games, but I'm still looking at it and saying that we've got a lot of work to do. I'm sorry, and I get it. We win, so that can mask a lot of mistakes and this, that, and the third. But we scored 103 points against a team that's not known for their defense. We scored 103 points. You know, to me, that's not necessarily great. We shot the ball well. Right? We shot 47% from the field. We shot 40% from the three-point line. So now we're talking about number of shots that we got up, obviously, because we shot the ball well. So, you know, the number of shots that we got up. You know, it's all signs to me that this team is just still, we're finding, we don't know what our identity is right now. We're still trying to find that. You know what I mean? Turnovers, right? 18 turnovers tonight. You know, if it's not one thing, it's the other, it seems like. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, Sean, that I'm not, you know, jumping over the moon with this win. It's the Sacremento Kings that got 12 wins on the season. You know, one of their best players wasn't even playing. Right? And they gave us a battle until, you know, we finally, you know, took over at the end, but it's a 12-win team. You know, so I'm not ecstatic about it. Not ecstatic about it. You know, there's things that it's things we got to do. You know, and you know the trade deadline is getting close, so I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, there's probably some anxiety, some angst within the locker room, within, you know, and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. Are you, Tony, Trey, impressed with this win? Or just, I mean, I'm happy about it because we won, but.
Nah, not impressed. Not when you giving up offensive rebounds to this team, right? It's not even that. It's you know, that's still an issue. This team has some size. The Kings, they have some size, but not to the point where, you know, you're getting 16 offensive rebounds. You know what I mean? Like on us. You know, that's a big deal for me. Like the points in the paint, that's a big deal for me. When you're giving up 42 points in the paint, you know, against this team, that's still a concern that, you know, we're not consistently guarding the basket like I know we're capable of doing.
Yeah. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not impressed at all. If anything, I'm just, you know, grateful for the win. But you remember what I was saying early in the year when we was winning?
Mm-hmm.
How, you know, it didn't look good. Like this looked like the beginning of the year all over again, where we was winning and learning. That's what I kept saying. All right, you know, it don't look good, but we getting these wins. We finding different ways to win. Like it felt more like that than like we're turned the corner or we at peak shape or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
right. And you know, maybe we're going through an evolution, and so, you know, we're back at that. You know what you were just talking about, right? You know, maybe this team is just going through that kind of evolution.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Sam. I know I ain't trying to jump the gun or whatever, but for me, it was visible where it looked like they was playing. What am I gonna? How they weren't like they was playing despite Cat being there as opposed to playing with him, and it really looked like that today. Like even that Josh Hart turnover, right? Where like Cat was right in the line for him to throw the ball to him. After he turned the ball over, he started doing this, basically saying he was trying to throw it past him. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just and he looked visibly uncomfortable in the sense of he looked like he was trying. He was making mistakes. You know what I mean? Like it was some things that didn't go well, but he looked like he was making a conscious effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked bad. It looked bad to me personally. I don't know if it was just my eyes or what? But
Jeremy Nussbaum said the Knicks were at full strength. Sacramento was without Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, and Dario Saric. Saric, I already say it. He's not wrong in what he's saying. Jeremy, he's not wrong in what he's saying. But we've won our third in a row, right? And we have a big game tomorrow, which we need to get that one. You know what I'm saying? We need to get that win. This is for people that I don't want to hear about the dog days. I don't want to hear about regular season wins don't matter. I don't want to hear none of that. We need to win tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a team that is in our conference, in our division, that we're battling with for playoff position. We're going to be battling with for tiebreakers and all of that. And that's why those home court advantage, right? That's why those early season wins mean something, right? The Knicks,
they're in our division too, right?
They're in our division too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
they're in our division. For everybody who was, these wins don't mean anything, back early in the season. They do. And I think we're 1-1 versus the Raptors. What's our record versus the Raptors right now?
Not sure, but more importantly, we're like half a game up on them in the loss column right now.
In the loss column, yeah. They're 29-19. We're 28-18. We're both 6 games back from first place. We're both a game behind the Boston Celtics. Yeah, so this is definitely a big one for the standings, right? We're 2-0 against the Raptors, says Jeremy Nussbaum. Yeah. So, it's obviously a big one for the standings. They've won their last 4. We've won our last 3. It's a win that we need to get.
Yeah. It's like we're closer to the bottom of the top 6 than we are the top of the top 6.
In the standings, we are, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the standings, we are for sure. I think we're just like 3 games above the play-in, and we're 6 games out of first place.
Yeah.
Really,
really important tomorrow.
Yeah, really is. Is first place reachable for this team? You think? I mean, with the way Detroit is playing, can we catch Detroit?
I mean, I would say this: we would need help from Detroit. They would have to go on some type of
have to go on something.
Yeah, obviously.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not out of reach yet.
Yeah,
I don't think it's out of reach yet.
We're gonna have to do our part and knock them down, right? We play them probably 3 more times, maybe throughout this season.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to. We've got to take advantage of those games and not lose. You know what I'm saying? Because if we lose to them, then we're doing ourselves no good. You know what I mean? JJ said, he thinks it's over for the first seed. We'll see. Listen, we went on a slide. They could go on a slide too.
Yeah, and I'm only talking about mathematically. Like I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's even. Like if we just talking about like the Knicks in general, I don't think they look like they haven't shown me anything that tells me they could go on that run to surpass Detroit.
Yeah.
Not the way this team looks right now, and not the way that the team, the roster, the bench is just not looking good right now.
Yeah. How much do you think trade rumors, all of that stuff is playing into this team's performance?
I think it makes a big deal. I think it more so for Cat than really anybody else on this team, because he's the one guy that, you turn on, whether it's ESPN, NBA TV or whatever.
Yeah.
that's the name that's always popping up in these Giannis trade rumors.
Yeah.
It's got to eat at those guys. It's particularly him. You playing every night, fans getting on you, social media. You trying to focus and all this stuff, and then you got to hear rumors, and that could affect you as a player. And you playing in the biggest market in the country.
Right.
So you under more pressure to perform than ever if you was on another team. So yeah, all that, you got to take that in consideration when it comes to Cat and how he's performed. I think it has a lot to do with how this team's performing, particularly him.
Yeah, he should be used to it. He's been in the league for years. Right? He's been in the league for years. He should be used to all of the rumors. Obviously, there's a little bit more pressure because he's in New York, right? So there's a lot more pressure, to perform. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more talk. There's a lot more media, when it comes to trade rumors and all of those things. So I definitely understand that. But he should be used to it. He's been in the league for a while.
And you playing for a team in the city that people think can reach the NBA Finals.
Right.
He hasn't been on a team like that, even going back to his Minnesota days. He hasn't been on a team, maybe the team that knocked the Nuggets off a couple seasons ago, but that was the only team in Minnesota that you thought had a chance to do something special. But you now on a team where a lot of people expect you to win this conference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pressure on top of pressure, man. Like it's go time.
Yeah, I disagree about him being used to it for the simple fact he's never been the guy in the rumors. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he really was in the rumors. Even the trade here, he didn't think that was a shock to him. You know what I mean? So right. I think he's always he knows the business. He's probably seen guys get moved and traded out the blue and all that. So in that sense, I understand being used to it. But there's also those certain guys that feel like, oh, it won't be me. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't be me. And you look at his, I would say, stature in Minnesota or what he thought it was. He probably felt he would never be traded, not without consulting
right.
and asking your preference and things of that nature.
Yeah,
and then
I heard his name a few times.
About New York, I think that is a huge factor. Even though he's from the tri-state, anything that he was used to in Minnesota, whether it was the scrutiny or his play in it, like that joint is magnified coming here.
Of course. Yeah. I thought I heard his name a few times while he was in Minnesota. Just being trade rumors, trade talks, and through the media.
Edwards or post?
Say that again.
Pre Ant Edwards or post?
Definitely post Ant Edwards. But even pre, when
Butler was there and all that.
Butler and Tom Thibodeau was there and all of that. I definitely think it's getting to him though. It's just so much louder now. Whatever it was then is way louder now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he can't escape it.
And even if he was able to ignore it before, you know what I mean? Like you saying, it's so loud now. You know what I mean? It seeps through regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't ignore it like you used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No way. And it's got to be. And then it's not even just the trades. The trade, but it's the scrutiny of his play, the questioning of his character, and all of those things. You know what I'm saying? That he's probably just not. Those things. Is an adjustment for him for sure.
He gets the Randall treatment. You know what I mean? Like
maybe not as bad as Randall, but
he gets the social media memes and you know what I mean? Which those things move further than, because that goes past basketball fans.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so
Goes
now
past Knicks fans.
you got 9
you know.
people that don't even watch a single NBA game.
Right. Right.
Now having jokes and you know
That's got to be
storylines
tough,
or whatever
man.
the case.
That's got whether or not you like
he's in a
Cat.
bad spot.
Yeah, whether or not you like Cat, that's got to be tough. You got to recognize that it's got to be tough, and I think any player who is able to battle through that, continue to produce through that, you know, they got to have some. You got to give them some level of respect. You know what I mean? Because that's a tough thing to deal with. You know what I mean? You know, just every night. You know, seeing it, hearing it. It's on ESPN. It's on the radio. You know what I mean? If you walk into a store, you know what I mean? You got some people that's cool, some people that like, Cat, get the whatever, get your ass out of, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's really different because your small market teams, you know, like look at the difference when Melo was in New York and he got traded to OKC, the reception that he received, right? Obviously, he had a sweet reception when he came to New York, but it was just different, you know, when he's there. I'm sure he knew what he was in for, right? So you know, hopefully, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, there's all kinds of rumors that he's being, you know, that the team has been gauging his value on the market. Then, you know, other things that say, you know, they have no interest in trading Cat. You know, I'm hoping that they are just being, whatever it is, being honest with him. Listen, we have no interest in trading you, or yeah, you know, we're at least gauging interest, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? He probably won't have peace of mind until after the trade deadline. Though, he will, and then hopefully we get past that trade deadline, and then he can just, his focus can be on basketball. In a year or two, if he's still a Knick, he'll get used to it, and he'll figure out how to, you know, just forget about it and not let it affect him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's the hope. After the trade deadline, that's the hope that he can clear his head and he can start being Cat and start playing like he's capable of playing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're gonna trade Cat?
I don't. I think if Cat is involved in a trade, it's gonna be for Giannis. And I think given Giannis's injury right now, I believe he's got a calf injury, which I think we all know what that could lead to. I would tread lightly in regards to that, but no, I don't think Cat gets involved in a trade. I think if anything, if the Knicks do make a trade, I think it's going to be to try to do something with this bench because Yabusele hasn't been what people expected. Jordan Clarkson's been up and down. I think if they trade somebody, I think it's going to be somebody on that bench, and I think they're going to try to maybe upgrade the wing spot coming off the bench. That's just how I feel.
Okay. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'd be shocked if he's moved.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he's moved as well.
If it's not, you know, like he said, a Giannis trade.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he's moved. The only thing I would say is the one thing that I think we've seen with this regime is that they don't, how do I want to say it? They haven't been, I don't know about right now, but they haven't been, I don't want to say short-sighted, but only focused on now. They've been a regime that's looked ahead, looked into the future, you know, try to look into the future. You know what I mean? So like about Giannis, I think if it's on the table and they feel like it's beneficial to the team, I think they would still do it. looking further ahead than just this season. You know what I mean? Or just like right now, I think they would still do it. Because they'd be looking at. I think they'd be looking at saying, okay, well, this is a good trade for us, and it's going to benefit us in the long run, and it benefit us by the playoffs, whatever it is. I think they would look at it that way if it was a good trade that was actually on the table. Looking at tonight, though, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks were led in scoring by Jalen Brunson, 28 points. For Jalen Brunson, he shot 52.9% from the field. He shot 50% from the free throw line. Only 17 shots tonight for Brunson. And I think we've been seeing lately that his attempts have been down. 17, 18, 19. You know what I'm saying? His attempts have been down, which is definitely what I think is a positive for the Knicks. You know what I mean? Because we need the love to be spread across the board in order for the Knicks to be successful, in my opinion. And use all of our threats that's out there on the floor. So 28 points for Brunson, 18 for Bridges. He shot 61% from the field, 66.7% from the three-point line. Cat had 17 points and 11 rebounds. 15 points for OG Anunoby. Josh Hart had 7 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Off the bench, Deuce had 9 points. Mitchell Robinson had 7 points and 13 rebounds. So the Knicks, 78 shots tonight. 18 turnovers, 78 shot attempts tonight. That's well below the Knicks' average. Trey, is that, in your opinion, 78 shot attempts, is that due to is it intentional? The Knicks slow it down a little bit? Is it due to the turnovers? What do you think?
It could just be the team you're playing too, but I think in this case, when you're playing the Kings and you're turning it over as many times as you are, I think the 78 attempts is kind of right where it should be, given what they turn it over 18 times in the game tonight.
18 times.
Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like that's where it should be at. Although I'll say early in the game, they had a lot of fast break points also. I did notice that part of it, and that's obviously a part of the attempts, but I think it kind of balances itself out at the end of the day.
Okay, because that's opposite of what the Knicks have said they wanted to do this season, right? Straight up opposite. They wanted more shot attempts. And there's going to be nights, obviously. There's going to be nights where there's, less shot attempts. There's, whatever it is. And obviously tonight was one of those nights. But, we'll see if this becomes trendy. If this is a trend, that the Knicks are taking a smaller number of attempts. I don't know.
Let's not forget the percentage, though. They still shot 48%.
The percentage. They shot,
you know what I mean?
Percentage.
Yeah, they still shot at a good percentage. So whether it's 78 attempts or whether it's 90 attempts, if that percentage is still around the 48, 50 percentile, that's still great. That's still great. As long as they can, shoot at that, efficiency, I'm all good with it.
And maybe with this basketball team, a slower pace is better. Maybe it's better for them defensively. The Kings scored 87 points tonight. Maybe it's better for them defensively, and maybe it's even better for them rest wise while they're on the court playing a slower pace. Because maybe this team isn't built to be this super duper fast up tempo team, and maybe Mike Brown is figuring that out. These guys.
And I think with the lack of the roster on the Kings side, I mean, somebody in the chat said that there was, some guys didn't play tonight, which,
Right.
which was kind of evident as you're watching the game there. But, usually the Kings are known to be a very offensive driven, basketball team.
Yeah.
And not having Malik Monk come off the bench, that's huge
He's a burner.
offensively.
He's a
Not
burner.
having Zach LaVine, that's huge, offensively in your lineup. So
Yeah.
I can see why, the numbers are the numbers because you don't have those guys. Now, if they were at full strength, yeah, this game is probably into the 120s. I think the Knicks actually score more in this game. I think the attempts are more because you're trying to keep pace with the Kings full strength.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tone. My bad.
No, I was just gonna say I think it's just the turnovers. I think it's just the turnovers because it obviously we're gonna turn the ball over, so you're not gonna say all of those are missed shot opportunities. But let's say if we go with our average, which is like 13, that's another 5. So you know what I mean, that's another 5 attempts right there. And the fact that we didn't turn the ball over, like I think we had 2 turnovers in the fourth. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the barometer. Look at our shot attempts in the first and the fourth, and I would say that's where we are. You know what I mean? That's our range of where we should be. And then I would have to re-look at the second and third quarter to understand, if it's just turnovers or why we were shooting. But I know the fourth quarter we had a lot of attempts. I know the first quarter we had a lot of attempts.
Yeah. But I know there's been some other games where we've had, a high number of turnovers, and our shot attempts was still, up there, 80s.
Well, to me, that's why it's concerning because we offensive rebound like we normally did.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's not, and that's usually one of the areas that helps us dominate in the shot attempts.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because Sacramento had 16 turnovers tonight, and they had 87 shot attempts. Obviously, their percentage wasn't that good. So I think it's definitely something to watch. And I'm not mad about it if it's slowed down a little bit because I actually think it could benefit this team for them to play a little bit slower, be a little bit more methodical about it. You know what I mean? I actually think it could benefit them. I think maybe tonight they had turnovers, but I think it would. Well, they only turned the ball over about 13 times anyway. But I think it would help this team defensively to play a little bit slower. I just don't think we have the.
I think you're right, but I think you're right because we need that to stop the bleeding in game. You know what I mean? We'll have a stretch where we're running the way Mike Brown has said we should, and we're playing well. And I think they get overconfident. You know what I mean? Like they start doing too much. They start missing the easy. You know what I mean? Which should have been a simpler play. They get a little fancier with it. You know what I mean? Get a little. Clyde would say loosey goosey, and then it takes them too long to get into that mode of correction, which is where I think what you're talking about, slowing it down, being more methodical, and they don't know how to turn that on.
Yeah. Let me see. We got Silk, my brother Silk on the line. I ain't heard from you in a while. Silk, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
How you doing, brothers?
Chilling, man.
Yeah.
Chilling, man.
Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes the game be too late, man. I catch you on the replay. So I ain't been around for a minute. But I've been listening to you. Maybe not.
Always appreciate that. Always appreciate that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Sam. We're not gonna be no Indiana Pacers fast break team running, pushing hard. Because I love Hart. Well, Hart always making them crazy up in the air jump ball plays. He's supposed to be our second ball handler when Brunson's in the game to help Brunson out. Because McHale ain't really strong at that. So we're not gonna be. We just gonna make some dumb plays and turnovers. That's why you can tell with Tibbs, Tibbs used to hate turnovers, so he only let Brunson dribble the ball, no matter how long it took him to get over half court. He didn't want many passes. And it was stressful to us to see that, but Tibbs been pulling up a little head. He had less, and we see all these turnovers he's doing.
Well, I mean, that might have been
turnovers.
Yeah, that might have been a good thing. Tibbs needed to go ahead. He needed to let that go a while ago. But anyway,
right,
a little bit of hair. He needed to go ahead and let that go.
And I'm glad he's slowing it down. Like you said, we're doing it more methodical because that's more our team. We're never going to be as fast running up the gun and going like OKC and the Pacers. We don't have the guys that do that. Brunson don't want to be doing all that running because he wanted to slow it down and bang in half court. McHale don't have the ball handling speed to be doing that. He be fumbling and kicking the ball out of bounds. Mm-hmm. And then Hart be trying to think he Harlem Globetrotter to be trying to throw fancy passes, jumping up in the air all the time. And when he like in the second half, he had nobody to throw to, so he had to come down and it was a turnover.
Yeah.
So slow it down, let them think what they're gonna do, which pass they're gonna make, and take your time with it.
Yeah.
Because that's who we are.
Yeah.
I got one question for y'all guys. Because I've been hearing this crazy stuff about we supposed to be getting Drew Holiday with Giannis, and we giving out like 5 players. Pat, Mikal, Dadier, Yabu, and my man Deuce. Out of all of that, I'm okay with everybody for some reason except for Deuce. Because who's our other consistent 3-point shooter on this team?
I mean,
I know Shamet can do it.
I guess at that point it would be Drew Holiday. He can shoot.
But not like Deuce.
Not like Deuce. Not like Deuce. I would hate for Deuce to go. I mean, Drew Holiday is obviously a smart player, defensive guy. You know, he's been to the chip before. He's won the chip. You know, he's got that experience. I would hate to give up Deuce though.
I know. See, Drew with Brunson, I like in the starting lineup. He's replacing McCall. He's a better ball handler than McCall. He's older and he's injury prone. But other than that, the upside over Drew Holiday with McCall, I like because what he's bringing, he'll play better defense than McCall been doing on pressure on ball players, having a hard time to get in the paint. It's just now, unless you think Jordan Clarkson gonna get off the bench, and when Deuce is going, he's the replacement for Deuce with Shamet off the bench.
I don't know. I don't think Mike Brown enjoys Jordan Clarkson's game.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, West 4th Street is a little wild sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like his whole coach in Utah, you heard what he said about he told Jordan Clarkson.
Nah.
He said, I need for you to play with the band sometimes, but then you could go into your solo act, get your solo on every once in a while. But I need for you to play with the band, and that's Jordan Clarkson. He always want to go into a solo act a lot of times and always want to play with the band.
Yeah, and you know it's worked for him in some aspects, but you know he hasn't found that rhythm with this team. You know what I mean? He hasn't found that rhythm.
I think he's on the bench. Yeah, I think he's on the bench because of his defense. Really?
I mean, you know, he's not. I'm not saying he's the. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying he's the best, you know, defender or whatever, but I think it's more due to on the offensive side. I mean, you know, he's a little awkward in some of his plays. You know, you don't always know. If I was his teammate, I wouldn't always know what he's doing or where he's going, you know, and so I'd be a little bit like, okay, where should I go? Because he kind of goes all over the place, and I feel like he breaks the flow of the offense with his style of play. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just everywhere sometimes.
You don't know if he's gonna pass or shoot it, or
you don't know if he's gonna pass, if he's gonna shoot. You don't know. You know, if he's going to dribble around a whole bunch of times. You don't know. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I think it throws off the rhythm of the team sometimes, in my opinion. Where Shamet, you know what I'm saying, he's, you know, a quick decision. He's either gonna shoot it, he's gonna drive, or he's gonna pass it up if you don't have it. And it's a quick decision, and it's not funky looking. You know, you can kind of tell what he's gonna do. He makes good decisions when he has the ball. He can knock down the three. You know what I mean? And he's a better fit in the offense, in my opinion. Now, one of the reasons I think Jordan Clarkson, we thought that he was going to be this other creator that can get to the paint, draw fouls, and do those type of things. And he probably has that skill set, but he needs to be on the floor for a certain amount of minutes and have rhythm to get that rhythm going. And I don't think Mike Brown I just don't think Mike Brown trusts him enough to give him the minutes that he needs to get in rhythm.
So basically, you're saying he's gonna get traded.
Maybe. It's possible. I think it's very, very possible.
Do you think it's age? Do you think it's age, though, with Jordan Clarkson? Yeah, age. Like, he's 30, 33?
Not really. I think it's more style.
Okay.
I think it's more style of play. Style of offensive play, Mm-hmm. I think it's more of that than age. He's just helter-skelter. You know what I mean? He's just like...
He's streaky. If he was... I could deal with it if he was, like, a little bit better at the three, with the three ball, but he got that Anna John Starks thing where he's hot or cold as anything. I mean... And now he ain't playing defense. His defense is fouling people.
Mm-hmm.
And Brown, like, he wanted a guy who could play strong with defense without fouling. But Jordan Clarkson...
I mean, the first thing...
all he does is foul.
Yeah, the first thing that I say when Clarkson gets the ball, I'm like, oh shit. That's the first thing that comes to my. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. You know what I'm saying? And then then let me see what's about to happen. See what he's gonna do.
That's him. That's West 4th Street. West 4th Street guy. You don't know what's gonna happen. West 4th Street.
Yeah.
West 4th Street. You don't know when they got the ball. They're gonna be doing this, that behind the. Oh yeah, he killed me that behind the back. I always almost turning the ball over. That'd be killing me.
Yeah, he does some stuff sometimes. He got the this running 3-pointer type of. It's a little awkward, and I think in order for the team to get used to his style of play and how he plays, he needs those minutes on the floor, and I don't think Mike Brown's giving it to him.
So, Sim, would you do that trade that everybody keep talking about with Portland and Milwaukee? We basically losing 5 players, 2 rotational players, Mikal and Cat, but we getting Drew Holiday and Giannis. And 3 players induced.
So let me ask this though. All right, let me ask this. With that trade. Okay, you bring in Giannis. I get it. It's Giannis. Now you're bringing in Drew Holiday from Mikal Bridges. Now, we already talk about the lack of length that we have. Now we're taking away a guy that's 6'7", 6'6". We're taking away length and adding a shorter guy. And then, as far as Giannis and Kat, as far as height is concerned and size, they're basically the same size. Obviously, Giannis, has a different skill set and is very dynamic, an all-NBA player, better player than Kat. But then...
Yeah, that puts Mitch in the starting lineup.
It pushes Mitch in the starting lineup, most likely. So now you got 2 guys in that starting lineup. You got Mitch and you got Giannis that's not really shooting threes. Does that really work? I know it's Giannis, but does that really work?
You got to drive it with Giannis, though, and he can throw Mitch alley-oops.
Oh, I missed it. Say that, Tony. You said you could play Giannis at the 5, so you can do that. What'd you say?
Play Giannis at the 5. I think that gives you definitely feeds into that speed dynamic with Mike Brown. You know what I mean? Like everybody play
for sure.
You still there. Put OG at the 4.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? We still won't have the height, but we'll have defensive at the 5, defense at the 4. Who's the other 5? Who's the guys we losing? Josh Hart still there?
Yeah, Josh Hart's still here.
Josh Hart at the 3. You know what I mean? Everybody got to play up.
Yeah.
But I like that defense for sure with Holiday, Hart, OG, Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, the thing
We're not
is,
a team, but it's a whole new style. But
the thing is, if Giannis is here, I think OG gone, man. I mean, you still got to give up something to get Giannis here.
Well, you'd be giving up Cat.
Well,
Cat
yeah,
and Duke.
but I think it's going to cost more than just Cat.
Well, Cat and McCall.
In my opinion.
Cat McCall.
So what I'm
Cat and Bridges, and then Deuce, and whoever else.
See, I wouldn't. Yeah, see, I'd keep Bridges, man. It's just something about him playing every game. Like for me, it's a no brainer for me. If I got to pick between OG and McHale to put in a trade package with Cat, OG is going in that trade package. I'm sorry, that's just me.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm concerned about, and I see Sean say, you bring Giannis here by any means necessary. I'm gonna tell you what I'm concerned about. I feel like we're getting so far away from
chemistry,
what we built, that it's gonna crumble. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
It's same old Knicks, Sam. Remember?
Yeah,
we used to
exactly,
say that?
exactly. Okay,
but mad yet it's same old Knicks. That's I agree with that 100%. You know what I'm saying? They definitely feel that way.
It feels like that, and like, okay, you traded Randall for Cat, right? But you kept most of what you was doing the same, right? Even though it took a little bit away from what you built, but it kept most of what you were doing the same. And Cat can shoot the three. Maybe some toughness was taken away. Now it's like a whole transition, and for me, I'm gonna feel like, I don't know. I feel like we just be going away from everything that we built, from what we built, and now we're something totally different, and we're wondering, does it work, and trying to figure it out. And now Mike Brown is starting all over again. We haven't even found like serious chemistry with the team that we have, and now all of a sudden, bam, we got this big transition again. I don't know. I feel like we'd be on the midst of crumbling. That's how I feel about it. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, I'm not gonna say we on the midst of crumbling, but I'm gonna say this. I feel like the firing of Tom Thibodeau started that whole, everything we built and going away from that. You know what I mean? Like, because he was a part of everything we built.
I disagree with that.
100. That he wasn't a part of everything we built.
No, that it started there. If you're talking about like the transition, kind of like what Sim was talking about, it seems like every year since the revival, this roster has changed. Mm-hmm. It feels that way. Like you go back to the trade with Toronto, where we get rid of Quickly and RJ and get OG and we get Precious, and then we make the trade with Minnesota to get Cat, and then we have to give up Julius, we have to give up Dante, and then you fire the head coach. That's another transition, and then now we're sitting here talking about another potential transition of the roster.
Yeah, but I do see what Tony is saying though, because through all of that, there was one consistent. Mm-hmm. That was Tibbs, right? And so his style, his word, his all of that was consistent throughout. So whoever came in had to fit into that. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing that was consistent throughout all of that movement. You know what I mean? But I do understand what you're saying. It's been movement. Like,
yeah,
we've been continuing to get better, but it's been movement every single year. There's been movement.
Where it affects your chemistry. We just talking chemistry. Yeah. Those moves affected the chemistry, and it seems like we haven't had even maybe a full season or maybe seasons enough to see the same starting five or to see the same, bench or what have you. Yeah. It seemed like every season it's a major trade where now it's like, okay, this guy's got to fit in.
But
now OG brought when
also
OG
feels
came.
like every single season we got better.
Yeah,
In the midst of all those moves.
Yeah.
Every season we got better.
And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying about the coach. Because in the midst of all those moves, the one consistent was the coach. And we continue to grow from the previous regime of players or guys we lost. And you know what I mean? Like even when we didn't, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like he was the consistent. The 1 year we didn't. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like they and again, I'm not even trying to bring it up like have this discussion again. I'm just saying once they did that, I wouldn't be surprised if they went and did the Giannis move or not. I don't know what they would, you know what I mean? Like whatever they feel like they need to do, they gotta do it.
Yeah.
It may not be on my radar.
And you know, it just makes it, you know, it makes it hard because or maybe now is the time to do it when Mike Brown is still figuring out what that consistency is. You know what I'm saying? So he's figuring it, but you know, he's halfway through the season. He's got these players, and he's figuring, you know, trying to figure some things out. And then all of a sudden, boom, you know, you make this big trade, and it's almost like he's starting all the way over right from the beginning because now you got a whole new style of play now.
Yeah,
you know, it's you know it's tough, and I understand it's Giannis. I do get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? It's Giannis.
And let's not forget the goal remains the same. Championship is still the goal. Like even with all the moves, you know, the trades, the firing of the coach and bringing in Mike Brown, and now to have these conversations again, the goal remains the same. It's trying to get a championship while we're not in the dynasty era of, you know, somebody winning 2 straight, 3 straight, you know, championships.
Yeah. I mean, but it's starting to feel like if we make this trade, it's going to feel like to me, we were building something and we grew. We had a plan. We understood what we were doing. And now all of a sudden we're just throwing shit at the wall, seeing if it sticks. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to become like the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, facts.
I don't want to become like the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of what the Clippers have done over the past few years. Just, okay, let's bring in this name and that name and that name, but things didn't really work.
Because Trey, you just said our goal remains the same, right? It's still a championship. So that's part of the issue, to be honest. Because if it was, if there was an adjustment period and a legit adjustment period, like we bringing him in, we got to work some things out. We got to fill the roster. We got to build this team based off of this new, you know what I mean? This new guy and what we're gonna build. You know what I mean? But that's not the goal remains the same. So it's like there's no grace period.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. But those moves can prolong reaching the goal if it's a chemistry thing.
Oh, I'm not opposed to the move or not. I'm just telling you, the goal remains the same. There's no grace period. You got to win this year. You're talking about long term. There's no long term.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, which is why I'm bringing up the whole chemistry thing and the fact that we've made all these transitions. It seems like every season where you don't get the real, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you look at the past teams, like you look at a Denver that, you know, built it, you know, sort of the right way, and it took them a while, but they finally got a championship. You look at Boston the same way. OKC, you know, it took them, you know, a few years. They didn't make those transitional, like, in-season changes, and they were able to get to their goal. With us, we're getting better, like you said, but it's those transitional things where now.
Look like Trey, you froze up, Trey. You froze up.
So I think everything worked except the cat move, and it's glaring right now that Cat is playing worse than he did last year, or he looks. You know what I mean? He looks more unsettled than he did last year. Last year, I thought he played great. You know what I mean? Better than expected. I think we all said that coming, like, based off the expectations of what we thought was going to happen with Cat and how he played, and You know what I mean? Not saying he was flawless, but the fact that he regressed now, to me, that's glaring.
Yeah.
And the fact that even it seems like the coach don't really have the faith in him. The teammates don't really have the faith in him. To me, that is glaring.
Yeah. Still the real AD said, we didn't draft Brunson, Bridges, Cat, or OG, so we're built off of other teams' foundation. I mean, I don't think you've got to have only your players to build a foundation. I think building a foundation is you have players that you drafted, and you bring pieces. You bring pieces in. I mean, when you look at Brunson, Brunson was off of Dallas's bench. He became Brunson that we know of here. He had the talent, but he became the Brunson we know of, the franchise player we know here. And then we started to bring in guys around him, Bridges, OG, Cat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Julius Randle, who we traded for Cat, became the Julius Randle that we know here. You know what I mean? So they helped to build that they did help build that foundation. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like the more we keep making these moves, what we built, moving the coach, obviously. Okay, so we said we're trying to transition to something else, but it feels like what we built, what got us here, you listen to any coach, right? If you're winning the game by 20, you end up losing the game, what are they going to say? You got to keep doing what got you there. Mm-hmm. Keep doing what got you there. I'm feeling like we might not be continuing to do what got us there. That's what scares me. That's what scares me. Especially since, Giannis is great, but, all right, they won a championship, but how long has it been? And what have the Bucks done lately with Giannis? And I do think Fred has a point. He said, look, Giannis and Dame didn't really mesh. Mm-hmm. Giannis and Brunson, are we sure that's going to mesh? Mm-hmm. Are we sure that's going to work?
In mid-season, year one, mid-season?
Right. Yeah, it's I don't know, man.
And let's remember, he injured his calf. And we all know what that leads to potentially. Mm-hmm. And God forbid something happens to him with his Achilles. Now that's 1 year removed from even happening to have Giannis available to you. So it's a lot to think about when it comes to that. And then you got to worry about when he heals off of a potential injury like that and how he's going to look coming off of that as well.
Yeah. We got a caller on the line. Caller, you live. Name and where you're from, please.
Sim. It's AD.
What's popping, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, man. Salute to the panel, Tony. I didn't get my brother's name that's on the panel.
Trey.
I'm sorry, fam.
Trey.
Yeah. All right. Salute, Nick Nation. Sim. Now, Tony's going to bear witness to this. I thought I brought you down off the ledge a month ago on this Giannis thing. We came full circle. Mm-hmm. You told the people once again of your strong affections for Giannis. We left. You were happy. Mm-hmm. What has happened since?
I'm seeing everything that we built start to crumble. I'm looking at a team that isn't sure of itself, isn't sure where it's going, doesn't have an identity, and I'm not sure making a move like that solves those problems.
So if you were gonna make a move, wouldn't you make a move now just by the things that you mentioned in the former, if things are not what they should be, and the coach is having this and the coach is having that, who wouldn't want a new toy?
Yeah, but then we're talking about a whole nother year of trying to fit some pieces together, and at the same time taking away from some of our depth, and now we got to rebuild that. I don't know.
Look, we have to be honest with the pieces that we have, and not just for here, but for, where we want to be. We can't hide Cat anymore on the defense. He just is unable to get rotations straight. You know how many times I saw the Knicks tonight just wide open threes
I
against a good team? Against a good team, they're down 20. You can't keep doing this and hoping he gets it. He's an 11-year veteran, for crying out loud.
So,
you can't.
Here's where I'm having another problem though, too. Because see, I'm hearing all of this about Cat and about our players and the misfit of our players and our roster and all of this. But last year I was told on many occasions that we had a championship roster, and we had less players last year. That we had a championship roster,
and it was the coach's fault.
And now all of a sudden we don't have a championship roster. Now all of a sudden Cat can't play defense for nothing.
Cat wasn't playing defense last year.
But it was disguised though, and we could play better defense somehow, some way.
Cat, you know what? I can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep, when things are not looking right, we go back. Well, Tibbs wouldn't have done it.
No. I'm not saying that Tibbs. That we got to go back to that.
We had the same record right now that we had last year.
I'm not saying that we go back to that. What I'm saying is, everyone said that we had a championship roster. Now all of a sudden we don't. Right? Shouldn't we just, if we had a championship roster last year and we added to that roster, why don't we have a championship roster this year? Why are we not letting Mike Brown get a chance to to bring it together? Because we were told that we had a championship roster last year. I was told by people. So if we have that, why are we not letting Mike Brown try to bring this thing together to do what he was brought here to do, which is make the team better?
Because we're watching the team in real time. And we can't, we're so far away from last year. I'm sorry. We're so far away from last year. We're watching Mike Brown being forced to play Yabusele.
Oh.
You think Tom Thibodeau would still be playing Yabusele right now?
No. Nah. But, the front office told Mike Brown, you got to be a collaborator. You got to do what we want you to do. I think, in my opinion, I think it's only so long that Mike Brown's going to continue to do that, in my opinion. Honestly. I think it's only so long Mike Brown's going to continue to do that.
Yeah, because it's all analytics at the end of the day. And when you go against the analytics, which is what some people said was the reason why Tibbs got fired last year, then what are we talking about for this year? If Mike Brown goes against it.
Mike Brown is not Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau ruled with an iron fist. Mike Brown is coaching in collaboration. He's already said so during the year. He's taking ideas, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that because everyone is there for a reason. Everyone is collecting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the case with Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, I mean, we run practice but when it came to the game, it's Tom Thibodeau. It's just not the same thing.
Well,
See what
it's
I'm
got
saying?
a chance to be. It's got a chance to be that. I mean, Yabusele got
Froze.
You froze up, Trey. Go ahead, AD.
Yeah, I think he was starting to say something about Yabusele. I can't be a hypocrite. when I heard the Knicks were signing Yabusele, I liked that kid. I was like, I don't know what happened. I can't explain it. I wouldn't play him one more second. They'd have to drag me out of MSG. They'd have to drag me out of MSG. I wouldn't play him one more second.
Okay. I feel you. And by the way,
he's
AD,
another one. He's another one. He can't get rotations. You can't masquerade. You just can't bandage up all of these guys when they're on the floor who are bad rotationally on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro. I think you were about to.
Yeah,
you were about to ask.
I was gonna say. By the way, last year at this time we were 31-16.
So what's our record now? 30-18.
No, 28-18. We're 10 games above 500. We were 15 games above 500 last year at this time.
All right.
It's difference. That's difference. That's difference. That's difference. Come on.
I agree.
I was taking your word for it too, bro.
Yeah, come on.
I got a wide curve. I'm from Brooklyn, baby.
Wide
Cut
curve.
it out.
Yeah.
You said it with conviction too. We were the same record.
But I'm sorry. I want them to make this trade. I want them to figure this out.
I want them to figure it out.
You
know what I'm saying? I want them to figure it out, without a doubt.
Figure it out what they got.
What'd you say?
I was saying figure it out with who you got now. If there is a trade to be made that maybe can help the bench, you make the trade and just keep it moving.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. If it's not the freak trade, I'd be disappointed. But you need some other pieces. I'm hearing they're talking about Alvarado again, and it comes to mind. I'm like, what happened to Kolick? Guys come back and he got banished. It was like he came and went.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're looking for a guard that can push the pace and find guys open and run the offense. I'm sorry. I thought we saw some of that and more of that with Kolick.
Yeah. I mean, we did. We seen some of it. There's something there that Mike Brown's not happy with. Maybe it's the defense. I don't know. There's something there he's not happy with. Hard to say.
Or if he's being told you got to pay Yabusele, he's being told you can't play these guys above Yabusele.
Right. He might be being told that. I mean, if he's being told who to play, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But now we gotta take everything.
You're not gonna win like that.
You can't. Right. You can't win like that. If the front office is telling you who to play, you can't win like that.
I'm just messing with you, bro. I know he collaborates. He's a collaborator.
You know they collaborate. Come on, Tony. You know they collaborate. He took this job under collaboration rules.
He said, under whatever conditions, I'll take the job. Basically,
right.
I'm very happy.
What y'all want me to say?
Right. That's exactly what he did.
But it also tells me the pressure's on Leon Rose. Also, that's what it tells me too.
No doubt. No doubt.
Like if they don't get it done this year, you got to look at Leon Rose.
The fact that Dolan came out and did his interview saying what he said, you know what I mean? He don't want to be. He's tired of looking like a fool. Or it's like I can't do nothing. Like whatever I do, I come out looking like a fool. You know what I mean? So God forbid we don't get close. Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought about that earlier this week, maybe since the beginning of the new year. You know, I'm like, look, we applaud the effort, and whether we like some of the moves or not, you know, we are a lot further away from where we were. That doesn't mean the owner is happy. Because all of these things, good or bad, is on Leon's record.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
You know, so you never know with Dolan.
You never know. Hey, that's the truth. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I don't know. Shout out to Paris Duggan. Thank you for the super chat. I'm gonna get to it in a minute, Paris.
And let's be real,
you know what
too.
I'm saying? But gentlemen,
they wanted this to look different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They fired Thibodeau because they wanted this offense to look different. And it looks different. You know, from the start of the season till now, it looks different, and the results are kind of the same, if not
worse.
You know, just slightly worse.
Maybe it's slightly
than what it is at this point last year.
Maybe you know, in results, you know.
I'm talking about win-loss record.
Yeah, win-loss record, obviously. Right. I mean, that stretch that we went on just.
It's a lot worse because your number 2 guy is complaining. Which he wasn't complaining last year at this time.
Well, because Tibbs ain't gonna let you complain.
He's complaining and he's getting complained about, and
he's getting complained about.
He's going through a lot.
Yeah,
I ain't got a front.
He's going through a lot. There's no doubt about it. And I don't, you know, it's hard to know, you know, how can he handle it mentally? He's not a tough guy, so you know, it's not like he's. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You got 2 guys on your team who that you gonna count on, or you count on in those moments, which is Bridges and Cat. You still have to side eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Even though you've seen them through some wars last year, and you like some of the positive, you like some of the things out of Cat in the Detroit series. He was tough in the Detroit series. He was tough in the Boston series. He was inconsistent in Indiana series, but offensively he was tough in Indiana. Bridges wins you the series against Boston, right? But you're watching him play, and like, dude, God, we gave up 5+2 for you. We were just not expecting this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
Well, we were expecting him to blossom into an all-star. That's what we thought, and I think that's what the front office thought.
And OG ain't off the hook either.
No,
because you know what I mean. Like we gave up our 2 young guns, which is all right, cool. He came in, he showed and proved. But then you got the contract. You know what I mean? So let's not act like he get the big money too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
no doubt.
He and again with that big money, it's one thing you came in and did what you did. That was great. We was happy with that performance. You know what I mean? When you got that money, your performance gotta go up too.
Yeah. No doubt.
You know what I mean? You can't just be who we brought in. You gotta elevate with that bread.
Yeah, for real. Well, fellas.
But anyway, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me rock with y'all for a bit.
Yeah, AD. You know, I'm sure if this trade goes down, you'll be back on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, you know, me and you gonna be happy, because I want to leave with this note as I remind the fans yet again. My brother Sim is the biggest Giannis fan.
Yo, I am a Giannis fan. I love Giannis. I ain't gonna front. I'm a Giannis fan.
When Giannis get here, he gonna get the jersey. All is gonna be forgiven. He gonna look at that. What's Giannis averaging? 29, 12, 11, and what? Some crazy.
Yeah.
On that, get Giannis off of Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Just let's go. Come on. That's all I gotta say.
Appreciate you, bro. Peace.
Peace.
The coolest. He said, Tibbs had 5 years of handpicking his teams and nothing to show. Nothing to show. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. What are you talking about? How can you say there's nothing to show for it? He said, Brown inherits Tibbs' failure. Now you blame Brown. He didn't inherit a failure. He inherited a team that was
no. According to the front office, it was a failure. But according to the front office, it was Thibodeau's fault. He was the guy that got blamed. Brown is supposed to be the solution.
The solution. And yeah, so far, hasn't happened. Paris Duggar, thank you for the super chat. He said, the problem is we didn't have a championship roster last year or this year. We got one top 15 player, that's Jalen Brunson. We need to stop overrating and go get talent now. And again, thank you for the super chat. He said, anyone who says this was a championship roster isn't a real basketball guy. We don't pass well, play D well, dribble well, or play smart enough to win it. Mike Brown was supposed to fix all that. So if that was the case. Anyway, I'm gonna head up out of here. I got a big day tomorrow. Got some things happening, so I gotta get prepared for that. Tony, Trey, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, in the next couple of weeks, we got Gotham Grit coming featuring Trey, and we also got the Die Hard Hour coming featuring Eru from Die Hard Knicks. So just be on the lookout, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you very, very soon. Very soon. Trey,
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to add to that before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. I just appreciate you always having me on here and giving me the opportunity to come on the network and provide you with some Knicks content. Gotham Grit, like you talked about, that's going to be my Knicks podcast on this network. So we're going to have some fun. I'm going to do one show a week and just kind of, review the week of the Knicks. As I come on, I'll have some guests come on that are, fans of the team, cover the team in sports media. I'll also have some people come on who cover other teams that the Knicks will be playing, in the coming, schedule. So we're going to have a lot of fun, man. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt. Tony, anything you want to add?
Nah, man, just, let's I'll change my tune when we reverse this streak, and so I need 8-2 or better.
I feel you.
Yeah, and I mean,
with that.
All right.
I need 8-2 or better.
No doubt.
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen,
all right.
Appreciate your time. Have a great night. Good work day tomorrow, and we'll get at you. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.